Ian Yates, welcome to Capitol Hill.
Thanks, Lyndal.
It's a little time now to the budget. The government's well underway with its budget preparations. What are you hopeful that the government will be able to deliver on aged care in the next budget?
Well, what we're saying to the government is that it's had the Productivity Commission report since July last year. The Productivity Commission gave them a very comprehensive answer to the question, what do we do about aged care? It's had its consultations, both with organisations across the sector and with consumers and carers. It's got a resounding message from the community and from the sector that we need to act on the Productivity Commission recommendations now. We've launched our blueprint for aged care reform, which gives them an implementation strategy for the PC recommendations. There is actually no reason not to act in the 212 budget. In fact, you know, it would be abrogating their responsibility in terms of aged care not to start acting now.
The government's got a lot of constraints on this budget. It wants to bring it back to surplus. Would it need to be a big spending initiative, or are you looking for initial implementation, some effectively seed money up front, but more looking towards a timeline for reform?
Let me be clear that we're not writing down our expectations, but you don't turn aged care system around, and we are talking about turning it around overnight. So we need a clear, what we've called for is a clear commitment. The Productivity Commission said a 5-year program, a clear commitment over the forward estimates period, that they will implement the new entitlement-based system, that they'll get the gateway agency up, that they will invest more in community care. And these things won't cost billions of dollars in the first year at all. And indeed, over time, this is a more financially sustainable system than they've got now, but they have to get it right first. So we want an announcement of the whole program. We want clear directions because the system is starting to fall over, and we want the sector then involved in the planning and the implementation of the new arrangements. That can all happen. That's all ready to happen right now.
Given that it's such a long-term reform and it will have to be conducted over so many years, does this need bipartisan support? You came and spoke to the opposition leader, Tony Abbott, last week. What sort of hearing did you get and what sort of things did you hear from him?
We had a good hearing from the Leader of the Opposition and Peter Dutton, the Shadow Minister for Health and Ageing, and Senator Fierravanti Wells, the Shadow Minister for Ageing. What the Leader re-emphasised was the message that the Shadow Minister had already given the National Aged Care Alliance, that if the government comes up with a good, honest package, that is not just a bit of cherry picking, but a good, honest package that implements the Productivity Commission's intentions, that will have the opposition's support. The opposition understands that aged care is in need of reform at this point of time, and they've said, well, really, the Productivity Commission's given you the package of answers, fine-tune them if you want, but get going and do it and it'll have our support. I just make the point too, in the past, major aged care reforms have had to roll out over a number of years, and it's worked quite successfully.
Given you heard that message of support from the Shadow Health Minister, Peter Dutton, was it important though to hear that too from the opposition leader?
Oh, absolutely. And the opposition leader made clear that this is an area in which the Shadow Ministry recognises that there's important policy, and that this is not an area in which they'll be seeking to play politics. They expect the government to act seriously on the PC recommendations because they understand as well as anybody out there does that the current system is not working. So get cracking and fix it. We also have strong support from the Greens and from almost all the independents.
Given the way politics is played on the national stage at the moment, do you have confidence that it is achievable to have effectively a bipartisan stand on this?
Well, as far as we're concerned, we've delivered a bipartisan stand for the government. We have worked as hard with the opposition as we have with them. We have, the 28 organisations in the National Aged Care Alliance, Lyndal. unanimously supporting this package of reform. The opposition understand that that's a significant thing. The independents understand that's significant. The Greens understand it's significant. And I hope government understands that this is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to fix something that's breaking, to get it right for the short and the long term, and to start action with the full support of the sector. If they don't, they're going to have to apply band-aids to a system that's already falling apart. What sense does that make?
And given that the sector is united on this, how much does that help the government in being able to implement what in some cases might be some quite difficult or complex reforms?
Well, I think that's quite critical because the sector has spent a lot of time working firstly with the Productivity Commission, then with the Minister in a consultative process around the Productivity Commission's recommendations. It spent a lot of time in the National Aged Care Alliance hammering stuff out. The energy and commitment is there now. Not everybody's happy with every little thing, but the architecture of a new system is agreed. And that does make such a difference. You know, in some of the past attempts to introduce reforms, the sector was divided, and some of the reforms, some happened and some fell over. This, as I said, is a pretty rare opportunity where you've got all the people around the same table essentially headed in the same direction. It's something that we were asked to do, come up with a plan that you all agree on. Well, we've done that. Now it's up to government to honour its part of the bargain.
And it's the job for the sector to work with the Minister for Ageing, Mark Butler, or also to encourage his colleagues who sit on the ERC and put the budget together that this is something that needs to be done in the next budget?
Well, certainly we've worked hard with the Minister, and the Minister has worked well with the sector, and you know, he is very keen on having aged care reform. He is, of course, towing the government line, which is it will start in this term. What we are saying to the Prime Minister, to the Treasurer, to the Finance Minister, and to other senior cabinet ministers, is that they need to get this to the top of the list for the 2012 budget. That's sometimes an idea, a proposal has its time. This is the time. We'll be wasting energy and effort and resources if we don't, and we will be disappointing tens of thousands of older Australians.
Ian Yates, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Lyndal.